Chapter 2038, Reality and Illusion. After listening to Mel's story, Zhang closed his eyes and pondered for a long time. What was the meaning of this world? In this chaotic world of endless strife, there had never been peace. Could the people living here ever be happy? It was already dark outside, and Mel's story had gone on for a long time. Mel suddenly stood up, smiled, bowed to Zhang, and said, "Your Excellency, let's have dinner together." Zhang thought for a moment and said, "The food in the royal palace lacks the taste of everyday life. Would you like to take me out for a walk? I want to eat something that ordinary people eat." Mel blinked, but nodded in agreement. She took Zhang away from the palace and arrived at the market in the royal city. At night, it was still bustling with activity. Lanterns had been hung in the taverns, and the magic lights were so bright that the streets were as bright as day, with hardly any shadows to be seen. There were many pedestrians on the streets at night, and everyone was lively and cheerful, with no signs of the worry and hunger of wartime on their faces. Zhang suddenly asked Mel, "It's been 3 years of war, and the people have been displaced, but the royal city is peaceful. Is this a common scene in the kingdom of Helen?" Mel said, "The war is only in certain areas, and most of the disaster victims have been relocated to safe areas. The economy of the kingdom of Helen has declined, but the people's heating needs can still be met." Zhang wandered around the streets for a long time and confirmed that Mel was not lying. Even in times of war, ordinary people in this world could still live relatively peacefully. Of course, war would bring death, but it would not shake the foundations of this country. Zhang bought some food from a street stall. The demon god armor had a device that could detect toxins, so he could confirm that the food was not harmful to his body. This was a rare opportunity for Zhang to eat food from the outside world, but it tasted pretty good, something he couldn't eat in the human world. It was sweet and steaming hot, and after eating it, his body felt warm. Zhang put down his chopsticks and suddenly removed the demon god armor from his body, which was collected in the bracelet on his left hand. Finally, he felt the night breeze. The gentle temperature and soft wind blew on his face, and it was the long-lost natural and warm wind. It had been 3 years since he had last felt this, and this feeling brought tears to his eyes. "I never thought that I would feel a sense of tranquility in the world created by the demon gods," Zhang said. Mel asked gently, "Are you thinking of your hometown?" Zhang nodded, "Indeed." Then, he called Zhou Qir and the others out of the shadows. A large group of people appeared above the small stall, startling everyone. Mel was taken aback, but quickly regained his composure and took out a gold coin and handed it to the owner. "Boss, your stall is on us today." Everyone who had come to the outside world felt the same as Zhang, greedily breathing in the outside air. In their world, the air was dry and extremely cold, and even breathing a little too hard could cause injury to the respiratory tract. But the air here was so fresh and sweet. Compared to the world we live in, this place is a paradise. Yang Xia looked around, a look of intoxication on her face. Mel hurriedly said, "If you like it here, you can stay. As long as you can solve the Demon King's problem, you will definitely be satisfied with the life here." Zhang didn't answer, but raised his hand again and called the owner over to order some snacks. "Princess Mel." Princess Mel responded in curiosity, Zhang looked at her, "I'm sorry. I want to enjoy this moment with my friends, could you step aside for a moment?" Princess Mel was a little speechless. She was a princess, and she had humbled herself to be their guide, but now they were discarding her like a used item? It was as if they were treating her like... Never mind, that word doesn't sound good. The guards around Mel also glared at Zhang. Zhang didn't even bother to look at them. He was just a passerby and didn't need to care about the feelings of others in this world, so he did whatever he wanted. Mel took a deep breath and politely stood up and said, "Well then, I hope you all enjoy your meal." Mel left with her guards, and they got into a carriage and rushed back to the royal palace. Although it was called a royal palace, it was actually just a large, tall building. Zhang could easily go back on his own as he had the key to his room. Fatty Su and Li Yangyang sat together. He smelled the local delicacies he had never eaten before, licked his lips, blew on them twice, then scooped up a spoonful and held it to Li Yangyang's mouth. Li Yangyang shyly lowered her head, tucked her hair behind her ears, then moved her lips forward and took the spoon into her mouth. The streets were brightly lit, and the various magical lights were no less impressive than human neon lights. People came and went on the roads, and all kinds of goods were displayed on stalls and in shops, with vendors calling out to passers-by to come and buy. Everything seemed so warm, just like the bustling pedestrian streets of the human world before the end of the world. Uncle Yu and the others ate while looking around, their eyes filled with memories and envy. If possible, they hoped that the human world could return to the good old days. "I have a hunch," Zhang Yi said casually to everyone as he ate. Everyone looked at Zhang Yi. They knew that he hadn't called them out for no reason and that he must have something important to say. Zhang Yi looked at everyone and said seriously, "The Yihen tribe's understanding of the Druckers is wrong." Everyone's faces showed strange expressions. Not long ago, they had just come into contact with the Yihen tribe and learned the truth about the entire universe and the life forms on this planet. According to the Yihen tribe, the Druckers were beasts, an inferior race that only knew how to act on instinct. They had been forced into hiding by these savage monsters, so they didn't have a good impression of the Druckers. They described the Druckers as having no redeeming qualities other than eating, mating, and surviving, and because they were so stupid, they were unable to communicate with the Creator. But today, everything he saw changed Zhang Yi's perception. At that time, I had a preconceived notion that the Druckers were irrational, ferocious, and crazy gods. But what I saw today made me start to reflect on one thing. He smiled and looked at everyone. "In the eyes of the Yihen tribe, is there any race in this world that is not stupid?" This statement caused everyone to reflect. Fatty Sue rolled his eyes and recalled, when we first encountered the Yihen tribe knights on the Chernobyl wasteland, they also regarded the intelligent beings of other races as insects. Of course, they had the same view of us. Chapter 2039, Seizing Divinity. Zhou Qi nodded and said, "If it weren't for their desire to return to the ether, they probably wouldn't even bother to interact with us." Zhang Yi crossed his arms and said calmly, "We instinctively brought the emotions of the Yihen tribe into this. However, in fact, it's not our fault that we have desires and are not the Creator's favorites. So, could it be that we misunderstood the Druckers?" He looked at everything around him. This is the world created by Mammon. From this, we can see that he is not a monster that only knows how to destroy. This is enough to make us think. Yang Xia curiously studied the local cuisine. She took small bites and found it interesting, a taste she had never experienced before. So she took out a thermos and poured the food into it, intending to study it more thoroughly when she returned. After hearing Zhang Yi's words, she said absent-mindedly, "Actually, I think this place is much better than the ice-covered world outside. If this world isn't fake, I'd even want to live here." Upon hearing this, everyone's expressions changed subtly. A cool night breeze blew over them, and they experienced the long-lost feeling of living outside without their combat uniforms. The environment was comfortable and pleasant, the wind was clean and fresh, and there was no pollution from modern industry or car exhaust. The temperature was pleasant. According to Mel, it was spring all year round in this place, with only the northern region experiencing cold snow and the southern region experiencing heat. You could choose where to live according to your preferences. The Kingdom of Helen did not prevent population migration. If it weren't for the fact that this was a world created by Mammon, everyone would have instinctively felt some resistance towards Mammon, but they really wanted to live in a world like this. Zhang Yi looked up at the magic lights decorating the stalls. These magical tools, created by magical technology, were as common as electrical appliances in the outside world and very useful. "You're right. This place looks much better than outside." Li Changgong smiled and said, "Look, I also feel very comfortable here." Uncle Yu stroked his neatly trimmed beard. "But if we don't go back, what will happen to the others? The only way to end this battle is to seal Mammon. Otherwise, the Lord of the Netherworld will never be killed, and the Eastern Orthodox Church and the mutants from other countries will all die here. Besides, we still have many friends in Tianhai City." This was what Uncle Yu was thinking. Zhang Yi took a deep breath and smiled faintly. We still have to go back. He looked at Yang Xinxin, who, unusually, did not express any opinion this time. He knew that Yang Xinxin definitely had something to say, but she was just observing his attitude. Xinxin, if you have anything to say, just say it. With Zhang Yi's permission, Yang Xinxin put down her soup spoon, wiped the corner of her mouth, and said calmly, now I know why the Creator must destroy the Druckers. I've always been suspicious that the Druckers, as the third generation of humans, exist in this world. Even if they attacked the Yihen tribe like crazy, it wouldn't cause the Creator to be so angry. After all, the wars and destruction of biological species are natural laws. If the Druckers were really that stupid and powerful, they would be even better observers. The Yihen tribe may not know, or they may be hiding some important information. Zhang Yi sat up straight, and everyone stared at Yang Xinxin, waiting for her conclusion. Li Changgong tilted his head, put his arms on the table, and looked at her carefully. Yang Xinxin, however, only looked at Zhang Yi. The Druckers are not stupid. They discovered the existence of the Creator long ago and knew that the meaning of their race's birth was predetermined. If they want to break the fate controlled by the Creator, they must break through the limitation of the third generation of humans. Zhang Yi frowned in confusion, but how can we humans break the limitations of humanity? Yang Xinxin nodded and said, it's simple, just become gods. Become gods? Zhang Yi sighed. The gods of legend were just humans with powerful supernatural abilities in ancient times. They eventually perished in the long river of time. Yang Xinxin shook her head. No, the gods I'm talking about are not gods in the sense that humans understand them. They are the true Creator. She pointed to the sky. The reason why the Druckers are so feared by the Creator is because they want to seize the divine status. But how can they seize it? It's simple. When I saw everything here, I finally understood. Yang Xinxin looked around at everything. In this world, humans could live very normally, and even monsters had the same qualifications as humans to exist as an intelligent species. That is to become the Creator God and build a brand new world. A world very similar to the physical world, and one where you can create your own species. That is the true meaning of a god. Yang Xinxin's words shocked everyone present. Zhang Yi was the first to recover, but the most important factor in creating life is spiritual energy. The Druckers plundered the spiritual energy that Kagago released into this world and put it into their own world to create life. No wonder, no wonder. This method is indeed unacceptable to the Creator. This is completely stealing the power of a god. Yang Xinxin said, that's not all. If the humans on this planet possess the power of gods, they will be even more intelligent than the gods. They will create a more perfect world. As gods of a higher dimension, how could they possibly understand the physical world as well as the Druckers who were born here? She looked around and said, everything in this world is based on the concept of balance. Although the civilization does not seem advanced and there are loopholes in the system, everything appears to be very balanced, and there are no major deviations. People are able to live a life of abundance. However, the excessive development of technology does not cause people to lose the desire to reproduce, as happened to the Yihen tribe. The intelligent beings in this world are divided into two races, humans and monsters. No, strictly speaking, they are two different types of humans. War gives them a sense of external threat. At the same time, it gives them a mission. Humans cannot be too idle. Even with ample food and access to all the pleasures of life, they will eventually grow bored and cease to reproduce, even ending their own lives. They need love, friendship, honor, adventure, tension, and excitement. And without a doubt, the war against the invasion of a different species can awaken these emotions within them, allowing their personal value to be fully realized.